It's not next week yet. And yeah, I felt kind of just off for the next couple of days. My first 2 doses, I really didn't have much. I think this day 2 after my second dose, I had a bout of tiredness and stuff and everything like that. But this time I just have this kind of off fuzzy feeling.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I might be like a mild hangover or something. It would be my quick correlation to how I feel, although not exactly.
It's funny you say that, because that's kind of how I felt when it came to the first 2 shots. I had nothing. I got no response whatsoever. I was making fun of everyone's like, oh, I'm getting sick after the shots. I got nothing. But after I had my 3rd shot, I felt it. And like you said, I felt like I had a really bad hangover. I was like, wow, I'm 20 again, back in my days as a cadet. And I was like, wow, yo ho, and feel like I'm back doing the bar run down in lower Midtown Manhattan again. When I was a 2nd class cadet.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Captain Orr. We've got 2 more minutes. So before we start, Captain Orr, good afternoon. Glad you're with us.
Happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Lieutenant J.G. Cunningham, where are you at?
He was here a minute ago. I don't see him right now.
Hi, good morning. This is Lieutenant J.G. Bobby Cunningham. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, there you are. Good afternoon, sir. Just to let everybody know, the stream is live right now. So the world is watching.
Afternoon, Commodore.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jack. How are you?
Well, sir, how are you?
Great. So we pretty much have most of the bridge here. We're still waiting for Commander. I don't see Boz. Is Boz on here yet?
Yeah, Boz is here.
Here, okay.
So, where is Commander? There's OTO just signed in. Good afternoon, OTO. I know you're out there somewhere.
Good afternoon. Commander will be on. We were just chatting and yeah, should be on in a minute.
Oh, you both looked at your watch and go, we got to stop because we're going to be late.
Pretty much.
All right. Commodore Geiger, we're straight up. So when she logs in, take it away.
You got it.
This means she has to buy the rounds. Last one that shows up has to buy. Oh, there she is. Hopefully she didn't hear that.
Kevin Costner won't be here. I watched The Guardian last night and he died again at the end of the movie. He just can't make it through.
Well, he's under the sea somewhere, pulling people out of the water, I guess, still.
There's Commander.
Where is she? Oh, there you are.
All right, so I've got 101, so let's move on. Welcome, everyone. To get started, Rick, will you call the meeting to order, please?
I will. I'll go ahead and call our November board staff meeting to order at this time at 13:01. Is Patrick Porter here?
If he is.
I am, sir.
Patrick, if you would do the roll call, please.
Sure will. District Commodore Geiger.
Present.
District Chief of Staff Ebel.
Present.
District Captain LA North Fiamingo.
Present.
District Captain LA South Bozarth.
Present.
District Captain San Diego and Inland Donahue.
Present.
Immediate Past Commodore Harshfield.
Present.
Directory of Auxiliary Commander Keenan.
Present.
OTO Mr. Esselman.
Present.
Division Commander 1, Peterson.
Present.
Division Commander 4, Pearson.
Present.
Division Commander 5, Brown.
Present.
Division Commander 6, Palmer.
Present.
Division Commander 7, Cortez.
Present.
Division Commander 9, Walker. Vice Commander 9, Lupati. Division Commander 10, Smith. Vice Commander 10, Switek.
Benjamin Palmer is actually the vice commander.
Thank you very much. I made that correction. Division Commander 11, Ziegler.
Present.
By the way, sorry, Matt Smith is here. I just didn't hear my name called.
I'm sorry, who was that? Mr. Smith?
Matt Smith. I am here. I just couldn't hear my name called because there's other noise going on.
Gotcha. Thank you very much, sir. Division Commander 11, Ziegler.
Present.
Division Commander 12, Scott.
He is not present today. We have the Division Commander elect, Alec Milstein.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Milstein. That concludes the roll.
Thank you,
Commodore, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, for the Pledge of Allegiance, first of all, if everybody would go ahead and mute their mics, I will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Commodore Hartsfield, do you have a flag you can put up for us?
Not at this short notice. I don't know. Sorry.
Okay.
There you go.
No, look at that.
Wayne has one.
Flag. Put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, for our invocation, Mr. Wayne Palmer, if you would, please.
Let us pray. Father, again, we thank you for the opportunity to come together to align our service with the United States Coast Guard. We ask that you would keep a hedge of protection around us, give us the ability to make the proper decisions, and enable us to perform in an excellent way. Let us serve with integrity and pride. Let us accomplish that which you would have us to accomplish. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Okay, just for today, folks, the ground rules are, please keep your cameras on if you can, and mute your mics. If you get called upon, by all means, unmute yourself and present what you need to present. Exits are over there. Restrooms are back there. No, I'm sorry. So anyway, Commodore Geiger, back to you. You're muted, sir.
Thank you, Rick. I'd like to start off by introducing our guest. Is Deputy here, Captain Orr?
No, Commodore, she's not gonna be able to join us this afternoon.
Okay. So our guest from Sector LA is Captain Orr, and also our Oxlow, Mr. Cunningham, who is with us as well. I do have some special news to share about Captain Orr. I was thinking all morning how I'm going to say this, so I think I'm just going to say it because I realize about half of you already know. But Captain Orr has been selected to be an admiral. That's pretty impressive. Thank you. So let's let Captain Orr tell us a little more about that.
Thanks, Commodore. It's great to see you all. I'm going to tell you, it has been a crazy few months for me for a whole bunch of reasons, which I'm happy to talk about. One being this flag selection thing that you don't see coming a million miles away. And because of that, I was last week back in Washington, D.C. at our senior leadership conference, which I wanted to share a couple highlights of that with you all. And I thought if it's of interest, operationally, it's just been nuts for LALB between the oil spill that we continue to work on, the investigation associated with the pipeline involved in that spill, and then the port congestion situation that's going on. So I don't want to take too much time. I always appreciate the opportunity to see you all. Things at the sector are finally getting to a quasi-normal tempo as these things kind of fall into a more predictable, reliable mode. I actually haven't seen Bobby Cunningham in person, I think, in probably 2 months. So Bobby, nice to see you and thanks for being here. That's how crazy it's been. So that's what I'd propose is just take a couple minutes. I want to share a couple highlights from the senior leadership conference that I thought were interesting and you might be interested in. Maybe talk a little bit about the world events that are going on right now, and always welcome your questions and feedback. It has been great to see more of you around the sector. That's just a wonderful thing. I know things aren't exactly where we want them to be, but I feel like always getting better here in the COVID world, and appreciate hearing a little bit of the conversation just before we formally started about the impacts of the booster shot. Kind of the same feedback from the active duty team. That third shot is a doozy. Our command post for the oil spill, we ended up having 3 different command posts. Now we're running the spill virtually in a Teams room, with the exception of field-based operations. But that was one of the reasons we went to a virtual command post. We kind of at the peak of the command post, we had 500 people in Coast Community College and had 7 COVID cases. And those were, of the 7, if I recall correctly, 6 were all breakthrough cases. Only 1 was somebody that did not have the COVID vaccine. So yeah, COVID in all its various variants does not discriminate. And we've had a couple active duty folks come back from deployments as well, that were vaccinated and come down with COVID and get hit pretty hard. So the risk is alive and well, unfortunately. The good news is the booster shots are available and being distributed. So yeah, so last week I was back in DC for a week for the senior leadership conference, and just some common themes. We had some great speakers come in. Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security, John Tien, was there. The Chief of Naval Operations was there. And they shared very similar messages about the Coast Guard that I wanted to relay. So Tien described us, well, what he said is he aspires for the department to have the same sort of always ready culture that the Coast Guard has, and the operational excellence and the operational planning. And just talked about growing that culture in DHS and leaning very heavily on the Coast Guard across the board to be able to provide capacity as contingencies and demands show up for the department because of that culture we have, that operational excellence and that operational planning. So that means there's a really huge demand signal for Coast Guard forces. And that means that we continue also to be pulled in different directions as we do things like Operation Allied Welcome and things like vaccine deployments and the whole host of activities that have happened in the past year. And a similar message from the Chief of Naval Operations. He talked about the Coast Guard's culture and really having a strong culture of lessons learned. He talked about lessons learned that the Navy's looked at over the past few years with some of the major casualties that the Navy has experienced, and was really looking to the U.S. Coast Guard as an example of how we do a really nice job of incorporating lessons learned. So we don't just identify lessons learned, we actually follow through on those lessons learned and make some systemic changes. And obviously, I always call it problem identification. If you're just identifying problems, you're probably not succeeding, right? So very, very complimentary. It was amazing to have both of those gentlemen in the room. And then the third person, and there were a whole host of awesome speakers, but the third and unexpected guest was a guy named Simon Sinek. If you haven't heard of, yeah, I see a lot of smiles. You know Simon Sinek, right? So I have not read his book, but he talked about the infinite mindset. And the infinite mindset is basically, who's read the book? Anybody? Or yeah, a couple of you read the book. So I haven't read the book, but he, what really stuck with me, and I think in particular applies to the Coast Guard and our auxiliary, is the infinite mindset is the ability to find opportunity and ambiguity. And I have listened and joined these calls since, shortly after COVID began in probably April of 2020, when maybe it was a little bit later that I was able to start joining these calls. And I have just been continuously amazed at the opportunity that you all find in this ambiguous environment that we've operated in. And it was really interesting to listen to Simon Sinek talk about it. And I thought, gosh, that's one of the Coast Guard superpowers, is our ability to find opportunity and ambiguity. We just do that, I think, really well. So that we were there for 4 days. There's a whole bunch more I could talk about, and I'm happy to answer any questions just about the conference. But I will say the theme that I came away with was that it's not just lip service. The demand for Coast Guard services globally continues to increase. I would say an exponential rate. Worldwide, it is really amazing, and all aspects of the Coast Guard. And obviously, we're not growing exponentially, so that continues to be the challenge that the service faces. And there's real retention challenges, both on all sides, on the aux side, on the reserve side, on the active duty side, and the civilian side. So I did walk away from that week just really assured that the Coast Guard is working really hard on these things back at headquarters. And I thought that was pretty awesome. The Commandant did pass that last week. They started interviews for the candidates for the next Commandant. And hopefully, everybody's hoping that we can have some time for a time to allow for a leadership transition as opposed to a very rushed transition. So more to follow on that. It'll happen when it happens, but I have no idea where I'm going. I suspect that it's going to be at headquarters in Washington, D.C. There's a really good chance of that, but I'm just excited to be able to spend some time, my remaining time here in Southern California until next summer. Hopefully I don't get pulled out of here early because I love it here. And I love our team. So before I kind of jump into current ops stuff, any questions about anything that came out of the Senior Leadership Conference? I realize I just hit a couple wave tops there. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands or anything in the chat. So I'll just hit some wave tops as well with what's going on with the oil spill investigation. Not much I can talk about on that front, but just really like a confluence of three massive activities happening all at once. And that oil spill began, I was actually in New Orleans. I had just landed and got a direct flight right back to get to the initial command post. So the spill started that when we discovered the slick, it was on Saturday morning. I got to the command post on Sunday morning. And as you might imagine, the interest was extremely high. In about 4 days, we built an 1,800 person organization that covered from basically Golden West Street in Huntington all the way down to the Mexico border. And so the first month was a pretty intense survey, assessment, and cleanup operation. And now we have kind of all phases of an oil spill going on, where we still have active cleanup. We still have some tar balls showing up. We have segments of the beach that we're able to, we have a survey protocol in place, and we are able to assess and determine that no further treatment is required, and then put those phases into a longer term monitoring posture. So our footprint now is down to about 230 people, give or take, between our oversight and our folks in the field and our environmental folks, and generally good news. So that will continue, and I suspect it will continue for some time in various forms of tarball monitoring. But this really is a tarball locating and removing operation at this point. So that continues. The investigation continues. I do not have. We've tried to kind of keep a line between the response and the investigation. And as you might imagine, there's many federal, state, and local entities interested in their own investigations and outcomes. So, and then the other big thing going on is port congestion. We just keep breaking records. Well, we're not breaking records in the Coast Guard, but industry is just racing to this finish line called the Los Angeles Long Beach Port Complex. And I think yesterday we were at something like 158 ships, that between the number of ships that are anchored and the number of ships that are, what the term we use is loitering. So they're basically hanging out within 40 miles of the port complex. And by hanging out, I mean literally hanging out. We have recommended best practices. You know, we basically are saying follow the nav rules, safe navigation, stay 3 miles from shore. And it all works when the weather, it's a beautiful Southern California day. The Marine Exchange and the Vessel Traffic Service do a brilliant job of managing this, but you get something like a high wind event and things get a little bit hairy. So industry just this week, yesterday actually, well, I think yesterday was a press release, maybe the day before, has come up with a plan to distribute these vessels along the supply chain. So what's going to happen, and it's probably going to take 4 to 6 weeks before we start to see the outcome of this, because there are these 150 plus ships sitting here and they have no incentive to leave. But what's going to start to happen is vessels are going to get their queuing assignment from the Marine Exchange of Alaska. And they're going to get that before they leave their last point of departure. So that's going to allow all these ships to basically slow down their transit speed and then time their arrival much more closer to when they are going to have a labor assignment. So the ocean carriers have agreed to this. There's some pretty strong language in the agreement. They did a press release. They've been very public about this commitment they're making. There appears to be a pretty significant environmental benefit because the ships are going slower, they're burning less fuel. Less fuel means less costs. And they're not sitting here off the coast of California, just emitting fumes. So anyways, we are super hopeful. It doesn't help sort of the movement of the cargo because it's just massive gridlock. There's so many aspects that make this a very complicated thing to unlock. And I think in time here, we'll start to see things even out. We're in a bubble, but my hope is that by the beginning of January, we're actually supposed to see pre-COVID levels out there, which means you may see no ships at anchor, which would be absolutely amazing. So, so that is those are kind of been my top 3 for the last, I would say 6 to 8 weeks. And any questions I can answer about that, anything at all, while I have a couple more minutes with you all.
Anybody?
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to spend a few moments with you. And John Ross, I know, is on the line, and John is awesome about letting me know what's on your minds and bringing any concerns to me. And if anything comes up in the course of the meeting, John, we can follow up afterwards. John's never shy. So I super appreciate a few minutes with you all. And thanks for what you do.
Thank you, Captain Orr, and congratulations again on your pending admiralship. I got a call from my sister about a month ago, and she said, "You know Captain Orr? My sister's in New Jersey." And I said, "Yeah, why?" She's on CNN right now. So, oil spill certainly got you a lot of press.
Yeah, you know what? It was crazy. I was in New Orleans last weekend, I think, 2 weekends ago, and I have a friend there. I was there for a 90th birthday party, and I have a friend there, and he goes, I saw you on CNN in Piraeus, Greece. And I was like, what? Like, who in Greece cares about an oil spill off the coast of Los Angeles? But apparently it went pretty far and wide.
Yeah, that's great.
That's funny. Thank you all.
Thank you. Moving on, Chief of Staff Nebel and I occasionally attend the monthly sector all hands meetings. And I just want to comment on that. As you would expect, the leaders and the department heads are all very knowledgeable, and they absolutely enjoy their jobs. But more importantly, they enjoy each other. That was very obvious, and you can't fake that. When we attend these meetings, there's always some laughs and smiles. And I want to expand on that a little bit and address our 2022 division commanders. Let's talk a little bit about fun. As division commanders, you're going to be expected to attend flotilla meetings. And for some of you, this may be the first time you've attended a flotilla meeting other than your own. You're going to find that every flotilla is very different. You'll be observing the members and seeing what they do and hearing what they say. Then as you're driving home from the meeting, consider how you feel. Did you enjoy the meeting? Did you have fun? Did you learn something? Maybe you made a new friend. Consider that a prospective member attending one of those meetings will likely feel much the same as you do. Would they be inclined to come back? What would they say when they arrived home and their spouse says, well, what did you think of the Coast Guard Auxiliary? I've attended many meetings over the years where time seemed to fly by just because it was fun and the members all got along and seemed to enjoy each other. I've also attended meetings that got out of control, were unorganized, and I've learned absolutely nothing, and they were not fun. And I've attended meetings that fell somewhere in between. Remember that our members do what they do without pay, and while some are satisfied just knowing that they're making a contribution and are part of the Coast Guard, many others need to have fun. You need to do what you can to see that all flotilla meetings are fun. Make that a top priority. Lean on your captains and your mentors to help you learn how to do that. I'd like to move on now to staff presentations. Rick?
Okay, thank you, Commodore. I don't believe I see all of the DDCs here today. Let's see who is here. Norm Bundick, do you want to go ahead and give us a report on prevention?
Yes, thank you, Rick. Things are going well. We've got all of our new lineup of people for this coming year. We have a new DSO PA, Scott Hedboom. Debbie Johnson at DSO MS is back again. We have an open position, which you might, decaps and division commanders. We're looking for DSO navigation systems. So if you have anybody in mind, anybody that could talk to Rick and the Commodore or myself about it, and also Wayne Palmer. Wayne Palmer will be taking my place this coming year under prevention. PE, Chris Milano is new in that position this year. DSOPV, Aaron Todd is new. VE is Martin Buncher. Very good job. Again, thank you, Martin, for what you do. Dale Zimmerman as Ox Scout, DSO, and Randy Wesson as the Oxlow. It's been a tough year, but given the fact that we've got some dedicated folks, they got their paperwork in. They, particularly under the PE, we've had a lot of classes under that, as well as getting VEs, even with the limitation of having only 3 VEs per day. We do have, I believe, I don't know the final count. I know for Division 7, it was something like 280 VEs. I don't know what the number is for the district. But given all of our restrictions, people have really come up, decided to really get out there and do things. And I really appreciate all their help. That's it, Rick.
Thank you, Norm. Randy Wesson, I don't believe you're here.
No,
I'll give I'm sorry, Commodore?
He's not on.
Okay. Randy is the DDC of logistics. I'll briefly go over who our DSOs will be for next year. DSO MT, replacing Paul Saba, who was elected division commander for Division 11, will be Chris Rosario. Felix Lopez for DSO DV, who is always in there working hard for diversity. Thank you, Felix. Will remain the DSO for diversity. Commodore Harshfield is our DSO CS, will continue. Marlon Williams, who is currently our DSO CA, which used to be FS, Food Services, it's now Culinary Assistant, will be the ASC for San Diego, Sector San Diego and Inland. And currently, or for next year, she'll start out as the DSO CA until we can find a replacement for her. Leslie Pelosi will continue being our DSO HR. And Leslie has done a great job at HR. Thank you, Leslie. Chris Mather, who was our DSO IS, unfortunately had to take a leave, and Steve Sherman stepped up, filling in for Chris, will be our DSO IS for 2022. And then for DSO materials, Desiree, there you are, Desiree, will continue on as our DSO materials for next year. Thank you, Desiree. And Sydney Hay, who is our DSO PB, will be leaving us at the end of the year, and we currently have an opening in publications. So division commanders, decaps, if you know of anybody who may want to fill that position, have them get in contact with me, and we'll set something up to have a chat and see if that's somebody who will do that job for us. Moving on to response, I don't believe Mr. Milano, Chris Milano, is here. Chris has been our DDC response for this year, overseeing aviation, communications, and operations. Chris, as was mentioned earlier, will be our DSO PE for next year. For response, we will not have a DDC, but I will be performing those duties as including my chief of staff job. So for aviation, David Powell, who's been working really hard this year under some really tough conditions with COVID, and his team. And we actually do have some folks who are now qualified in aviation, but we'll get more. He'll be our DSO aviation for next year. I've been the DSO comms this year. We've made some nice strides in comms, and for next year, Emil Schultz will take over the DSO comms position. And then the DSO operations, Tom Pelosi. Again, it's been a struggle in operations, trying to get through COVID, the bubbles. And as many of you are aware, assignments to duty have been a little bit more cumbersome than in the past. Tom will not be our DSO operations next year, but Bob McCoy will be. So that's it for response. And that's all I have on staff presentations for now. All the DSOs, you should be current DSOs. There is a staff meeting next Saturday, the 20th at 9 a.m. And I'll expect to see all of you there and look forward to seeing all of you there. Thank you, Commodore.
Thank you, Rick. So this is our last board meeting of the year, and for some of us, our last board meeting, period. This year was not the year we signed up for when we decided to run for district elected office, as many of us have still not even met in person. Virtual meetings have been a blessing and one of the few good things that have come out of this pandemic. For one, it has allowed bridge members to attend division meetings and elections. I hope that divisions and flotillas will continue to use what we now call the Zoom room, at least some of the time, even after COVID restrictions are lifted. It will help members that have to travel long distances to attend meetings, as well as allow senior leaders to attend unit meetings. While all 3 of our Decaps are returning for a second year, only 1 of our 9 division commanders is returning. That makes Rudy Cortez our elder statesman, as Rudy and his vice, Robert Hamming, are returning. 2 of our commanders, Wayne Palmer and Matt Smith, are terming out, and the remaining 6 decided not to run for a second year for a variety of personal and work-related reasons. All of our 2021 elected leaders will be recognized at D-Train in Ventura next March. With 8 new division commanders, it will fall on our captains and you as outgoing division commanders to help facilitate the transition and assure that everyone understands their duties and responsibilities and are aware of the resources and assets that are available to them. Training for our incoming elected officers begin tomorrow evening at our first DILA for 2022. DILA means District Elected Leadership Academy. Last year, we tried to have one of those every month, and a lot of good information was passed down. The focus on the first DILA is going to be on selecting the right staff officers. 7007 forms for district staff will be accepted as early as Monday. The incoming officers will arrange for FILA workshops, and I would expect them to involve their Decaps in the workshops. Our DCO aide, Norm Bundick, is available to assist with the FILAs, and he can provide some PowerPoint slides upon request. While outgoing officers will not be in the Zoom room tomorrow, you are encouraged to watch on YouTube. Commodore Horsfield will provide that information if you don't have it already. With that, I will turn this over to the Chief of Staff. No, the Chief of Staff already went. So now we're going to do DIROC's office pass down. Starting with the Director, Commander Keenan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see faces again, but I'm excited for D-Train being in person, as Commodore just mentioned, and also excited that most of you guys have gotten a lot of elections done, which I greatly appreciate. So you seem to be going well using the virtual and/or hybrid means, but doing the elections electronically. So thank you all for working through that. As Commodore said, we definitely did not get the year that you signed up for, or even anyone signed up for, no matter what aspect you are looking at your life at, whether personal or work or auxiliary. But I appreciate you guys sticking through this and rolling with the punches as we kind of change policy, unfortunately, but it's kept us safe. And that's been one of the main, objectives, is to keep us safe and get you guys back out there. And as of right now, phase 3 is the phase we are sticking with until we kind of get out of this COVID pandemic. I do not foresee us stepping backwards at all. I've talked to our command about that, but with that being said, phase 3 is not going anywhere. So if people are trying to hold out with doing activities until they don't have to do a high risk form or assignment to duty request, I would strongly encourage they just kind of tackle that. And we are here to help. And a lot of people have done it. We're able to give blankets for your activity. So if you do an assignment to duty request for just a PV, then you will be good to continue doing PBs without having to submit an assignment to duty request every time. So I know we've been hearing that folks still don't understand the phase process, and I would just encourage all of our leadership to talk to members as we're having our meetings and getting back in person for our small meetings, and encourage them to, like I said, get familiar with it, ask questions if they have any, and get back out there as long as they feel safe, health-wise for them. With the elections being done, we will, I hope, start seeing some change of watches being done in person. District 11 North has already started that, and we can authorize those as long as they are under 50 people. However, per DHS requirements, that's not Coast Guard, it's not District 11, it's DHS, we cannot approve any in-person meetings that are not kind of a reoccurring thing for over 50 members without going to DHS secretary and getting approval. And the command has said we are not going to be requesting approval for changes of watch. So I encourage you to safely try to have them in person, but the key thing is keep them under 50 people. And I know OTO and I will be doing our best to get out there and actually attend some. And again, it's been great to see some folks in person again in smaller settings. We still cannot have big settings said, and I'm saying big is 51 and higher. For D trains, BSX has been working on that, as they were going to have NACON in person until the COVID spikes, and that is seen as a training event, and I don't foresee any issues with that being over 50, but they are working on those for all the regions. So locally, let's just concentrate on getting some of our meetings, which folks have been doing in person, and the cows, so that we can just recognize our leadership that's outgoing for having a unprecedented year, and then to welcome our new leadership. And I really thank everyone that stepped up for continued leadership or the next higher level. Let's see. BSX is planning to attend our D-Train in person in March. They'll probably send at least one representative. And I know from the national side, Commodore, I believe they've been in contact with you to send some of our national auxiliary staff or leadership to attend also, which would be great. For financial stuff, we are still dealing with this financial system blackout and travel system blackout. And unfortunately, we did not get good news at the end of last week that it's looking like it's going to go longer. I'm not exactly shocked at all, but we don't know exactly what that means for auxiliary or even active duty with our travel and with our purchases. Right now, all units active duty are only kind of making critical, mission critical purchases and travel arrangements. So we will see what BSX has to say. Right now, BSX said, patrols are only for mission critical at the sector's request. And that is the guidance we have, and we will see if that continues. They're looking to reevaluate, and the blackout period end is TBD right now, unfortunately. So we'll keep you posted as that goes out. But they're trying to do it right, and it's a new system, so they're learning as they go, unfortunately. And then I think the last thing is, every time I meet, I just have to thank all the auxiliarists that are helping out in the DIROC's office. We could not have made it through the summer or even still make it right now without everyone's help. However, we have an end in sight. We did do interviews for a new civilian. A tentative offer was made, and I am hopeful that we will have a new auxiliary affairs specialist sitting at the desk before the end of the year. So that's great news. I will ask when that happens that you kind of give time for us at DIROCs to teach the new member and get them going on a path before you kind of inundate them. So please continue to use the shared inbox and understand that the auxiliary DAAs will continue to assist as they train and bring up the new auxiliary affairs specialists. But it's good news. We finally made it to the process, hiring process, which can be very lengthy. And I think everyone will be happy with the candidate that we have selected, and I think they're going to fit in very well. That is all I have. Unless there's any questions for me, I will hand it over to OTO. Oh, I have one alibi, sorry. And this may get touched on at your training, but with the elections being done, I know you guys are starting to turn in your annual officer reports, which I greatly appreciate. Make sure those are going through your leadership, and then auxiliary leadership will submit them to the DIROC. This is kind of helping us all vet them and make sure everyone that's on that list has the TCT or any other required, is current and core training, has any of the required training. They're helping us vet it. So it is very important that you send that through leadership so they can review it before it comes into DIROCs. And we will enter those at the basically start of the year. Those will be going in around probably the first week of January, and they'll do a massive upload. We're still waiting for the directions to do that. Again, we can't enter those now because Oxdata 2 only allows one person to be in each position, and there's no way to set the date to kind of turn it on. So I can't put those in now and set it for starting January 1. So there could be some lag where outgoing officers are still in there, say January 1, and new officers aren't showing up until a little later that week, but we'll backdate everything and make sure everything gets in there. With that, in data entry, there is room for error. So if you do notice and you check your rosters come early January, just send an email to the shared inbox and we'll get it corrected. And again, have patience with this new system. They're correcting it all the time, making changes and continually improving it. But with that just comes some glitches and even learning for us to do at the DIROC's office. Okay, now I'm really done though.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I'll thirdly mention, yeah, it was a crazy summer. Transitioning in, there was a lot of changeover in the office with Leslie retiring, with my predecessor leaving, me coming in. Thank you for your patience. One of the things you may have noticed is basically restarted up the active duty list, not the active duty list, the activity list. And on that, the first one was large. It covered basically from April all the way till October, and the last one covered October to November 5th. On there, if you received it, you probably saw that I put a plug for the 7035 membership. So one of the things today is the 13th. Okay, so in order to ensure that all the 7035s for membership members not paying dues are processed timely, they need to be started as soon as possible. Fill in section 1 and send to the member. 30 days from now, sign in section 3 if there's no response. And then late forms could result in, of course, the flotilla paying. So even if you've been told the check is in the mail, the best practice would be to make sure the form is filled in a timely manner. We can always pull them back and check, pull them if a check arrives, but if proper timelines are not followed, the flotilla again ends up paying. And then a plug for the TCT RM. We have 9 seats left. This will be the last class of the year. So there are 9 available seats left for the risk management TCT training, which will be this Tuesday and Wednesday. And again, last of the year. All right, let me flip to my email here. So I did get a question recently, actually, a couple different people asked me this regarding performing aid verifications on a vessel that is not under orders, a facility that is being used not under orders. And the answer to that is no, we can't do that. You can do ATON verification from shore, but absolutely cannot do that while you're not under orders. That is just a potential, bee's nest of issues waiting to happen. So please continue to ask those questions. Don't just do them or take it upon yourself to do that. But yeah, that cannot happen. I know it's a trying time with the blackout period. Please continue to be patient with that. please, please, please start to clean 82 up. So have your members, there's probably 1,100 members now in 82 that have old, outdated, or lapsed competencies still assigned to them. We want to run accurate reports, so this is going to be an all hands on deck initiative. Now, please email us in the shared inbox, members, so you know, we don't just go in there willy-nilly pulling, you know, calls that people intended to get, you know, want them back or what have you, but just something to be cognizant of. We want to run accurate reports, and right now there's probably 1,100 members that have just competencies that are, like I said, old or outdated assigned to them. Emergency contact information. Make sure that members are updating it. We realize going from 81 to 82, there was a lot of issues with carryover information, but please, it's so important that members, whether they put information in there and it just needs to be updated, or there was never any information in there to begin with, make sure that they're updating that. And then I'll be sending out a schedule next month on basically UXs for next year, kind of where we're at now. Still kind of uncertain where we're going to be by the end of the year with relation to what BSX decides with the blackout period and where folks are. But I've said this every time, I will help members. I understand it's been a trying time. We had the government shutdown, then we had COVID. There hasn't been a whole lot of opportunity to get out on the water. There are things that people can do now. People can break out the boat crew seamanship handbooks. As you may recall, a couple of years ago, that big, thick boat crew seamanship manual broke down into 5 chapters. You can get through, you can thumb through that to get smart on towing again. You can get smart on man overboard procedures. How do you anchor? You know, how do you do search patterns? Those are things that you can rehearse in your mind, go through steps. And then when you do get the opportunity for an oral exam and then eventually get out on the water for a check ride, you're not as rusty as you would be if you didn't open up the books. So again, I'll be sending something out. Looking to do an Optrex, much like we did prior to COVID. I think Desiree put that together. You know, we're looking at doing a very large get together. We'll have radios, we'll have some DC training, damage control training plugged into that. We'll make it fun with, if any of you have ever heard of the 8 bells ceremony, it's for all the cutters in the fleet. Every October, we celebrate what it means to be a cutterman, and you get together, you do all kinds of fun activities, and it's a competition kind of with each other. And now you learn, you race with knot tying, heaving line competitions. So we'll make it kind of fun like that. And hopefully we'll have some fellowship out there on that beautiful grass there on the point. We are moving buildings. I did put a plug out in the last activity list, but we are looking for help this Monday through Friday, 08 to 1500. We've put a pretty big dent in things so far, and I appreciate everybody that's come into the office. There's been a few of you that came in to kind of put hands on old equipment, radios, monitors, things like that, that I didn't want to throw away if it was still needed, but there's still plenty more to do. Our new building is building 40. It's right on the water. If you haven't seen it, it's beautiful. Nice view. We're looking at moving in there probably by the middle of January. So there was an abatement that needed to be done with the windows. So they're finishing that up, and then we'll move over there. But really excited that we got somebody coming in to help out in the office. One more time, I'll say it, Desiree and Rick and all the other members that have come in there. I appreciate it, because this is, you know, it's just completely different when you've been on the active duty side, cutters, stations, but then you really come into this job and there's acronyms and different policies and procedures that are really kind of foreign. But you guys have really helped me, and I appreciate that. So that's all I got. If anyone has any questions for me.
So, sir, are you happy that you're going to get a bigger office?
I am. It's not that much bigger, but it is bigger. So yeah, I was, you know, I stand a lot. I have that stand-up desk, but when I sit down, I've got literally that much room between the wall. and you know what I'm most excited about? Commander can attest to this, but it's a meat locker at about 1,300 in my office. I mean, you can hang meat. It is freezing cold. I don't know what it is, but you can't control that AC unit. It just in the morning it's fine, but you go in there. Rick and Desiree know it's just like freezing in the afternoon. So Commander's is worse. Hers is probably like 40 degrees by the late afternoon. It's crazy.
All right, thank you, Commander and OTO. Moving on to bridge reports. Chief of Staff already gave his report. Immediate past, Commodore Harshfield.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you, Commodore. Next up is Decap LA North, Mike Fiamengo.
Thank you, Commodore. First of all, I'd like to introduce Division 4 staff that are here with us today. We've got our Division Commander, Jim Pearson, our Division Commander-elect, Wayne Salling, and our Vice Commander-elect, Don Roof. So thank you for being here. And Jim Pearson, if you could just say a few words about what's happening in Division 4. You need to unmute.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Division 4 has been kind of hanging on as best we can during the pandemic. During the last couple of months, then we now have Wayne Salang and Don Roof that are working with me and working with Quafo as well and trying to prepare for the new year. We're doing a nice transition period, getting together and trying to share as much information as possible. And even after they take office, we're there to help them as best possible. Mike has been great. It's always perfect go-to for me. And I appreciate the way we have worked together in the past year, Mike. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We have had some things this year that were amazing. I think as Captain Orr pointed out is that sometimes in periods of time when we don't have a lot available to us, you find those people that are reaching out there and finding ways to excel. This year, we've had people like Paul Clark in 4-3, who every weekend day, he's out there at the lake. He is setting records for VSCs. He also, as a retired firefighter in hazmat, he has connected with Deborah, and he has learned a lot about marine safety, and he's adding a lot to what we know, what we're able to do. So things like that are amazing. Kind of moving forward, we do have people that are anxious to go on the water, and they're kind of wondering what's going to happen now. But I assume that we're going to be hearing from the OTO at some point in time about any allowances for people. Or are they just going to go REYR if they have not been able to accumulate the hours that are required for operations? We don't know. But again, we're looking out for that.
I'm going to step in real quick. Sorry, this is Director. All that has to come from BSX. So we are also waiting, unfortunately, with you. We don't have anything, and that's a national decision or a headquarters decision. So we'll get that out as soon as possible. I know it's causing angst to many members. So we're watching it, and we will let you know. I'm sure that question is for a lot of people have that.
I'm sure it is. Thank you, Commander. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Next, we have Division 7, and making the presentation will be the current and returning next year as Division Commander, Rudy Cortez.
Thank you, Captain Fiamengo. In Division 7, I'm happy to report that, when as we've been going through this COVID
We've formed bubbles within the facilities, and they've been doing boat crew pretty actively at the beginning of the year. Toward the latter part of the year, of course, there were some issues mechanically that held that back, but they were very successful going out there and helping out with the forward operating base at the Point Magoo, Coast Guard forward operating base, providing boat training for them. Then in the water, we've also done a lot of two-boat training with Station Channel Islands. Morro Bay has been active. VEs, very active, over 200 plus VEs for the year, within the COVID guidelines that we've been giving. Assignment to duty, 3 per day. We also had a successful a partnership that we keep with the National Park Service, assisting them and doing vessel exams for their kayaks that they have out in Santa Cruz Island. That's a request from the National Park Service. We keep good relation with them. Members have been completing their PCT training, getting all the required core training done. A lot of focus, and I'm glad the flexibility has been offered, that a lot of these trainings have been done online now, and people have been going from getting their BQ up and working on their unprecedented moves in different flotilities, getting people from BQ into OXOP. We're looking forward to another successful year, and hopefully by then, this stagnation in the funding availability will come out, and we'll start to do operations again. But I appreciate everybody's, all the flotilla commanders, making the push, helping their flotillas move forward. And that's all I have to report, Captain.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cortez. Next, we have Division 12, and representing the division today on our district call is Division Commander-elect Alec Milstein, and also here is Vice Commander-elect Grant Graves. So Alec, if you could say a few words regarding what's happening in Division 12.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honored to be here representing Division 12. Division 12 has been active as we can during this pandemic, and we have graduated several new VEs. We're doing a lot of work in the UPV area in Marina del Rey here and in the Redondo Beach area as well. There has been, we did hit a few speed bumps here with our division commander and vice division commander having to pull away a little early before their term. But I think with a lot of help from Captain Fiamingo and many others, we're able to pull it all together. A few of our flotillas are drifting a little bit because of COVID, members dropping out and what have you, but I'm looking at it as a way to trim the fat, so to speak, because we want people involved who want to be involved. And there are always ways to get involved, even during the pandemic, as we heard Commander Keenan talk about. And those are the people we want to involve. At the same time, I'm looking to inspire and qualify people to understand what they can be doing during this pandemic in the ongoing setup. We do have some virtual hybrid meetings, happening within the flotillas. That's coming along very well, probably 2 out of the 5 in Division 12. And apart from that, I just want to say on a personal note, a great thanks to Captain Fiamingo for helping me through this transitional process. And also want to say thank you personally to the OTO, who reached out to me personally when we had a few issues. And that means a lot, it means the world. So thank you all, and I'm looking forward to a great year.
Thank you, Commander. That finishes LALB North.
Thank you, Mike. Next up is LA South. Boz?
Thank you, Commodore. I'd like to introduce some guests from our AOR that's on the call with us. Also, the incoming division and vice commanders. For 5, that's Sal Gonzalez, Dave Brown. Division 6, Mark Forster and Rudy Lopez are all on the call. And for Division 11, Paul Saba And while Justin Peck couldn't make it today, I just wanted to reach out to all of you and thank you again for being here. And I really look forward to working with you next year. And we'll get that started, Commodore, at the end of the month for a 7 of us will get together at the Long Beach Yacht Club to go over transition plans and tactics for the next calendar year, and put pencil to paper for a few hours. And then after that, we'll adjourn to the Yacht Club Thirst Parlor and make it fun. So I just wanted to make sure Commodore, we heard you, sir, and we'll get the year kicked off properly. With that, let me start out with Division 5 and Division Commander David Brown. Would you provide us a short report?
Okay, well, some good things that happened this year. It's been a very challenging year. In spite of it all, one of the things we focused on was member retention. We're actually up overall 5 members in the division from last year, even though we had some losses due to retirements. So the flotillas have been doing a decent job about getting new members on board and getting them trained up and actually retaining them. One of the challenges I made to the flotilla commanders is I want to see them appointing mentors. And several of the flotillas have done a very good job with that. They're actually engaging the new members with mentors so they can guide them through the processes, which can be a little daunting at times. We also have another 9 people in application pending status. And thanks to Leslie, we got 7 referrals for Division 5. And I believe all 7 of those have been contacted by one or more of our flotilla commanders, and they're engaging with them to get them on board as well too. So I feel we've done a really good job with member retention and also bringing new members on board. As far as risk management goes, I think we only have one member out of 157 that still needs to take the initial risk management training. The RMTCT, I'm going to encourage them to get on board with that last session of the year. We've got 2 who are overdue and 3 that actually haven't taken it at all. So we need to get them up to speed. On the not so good news front, core training, we've been poking people along with sharp sticks, hasn't done a lot of good. We've got 26 members out of the 157 that are overdue that we're trying to get into that and get that taken because they're in REYR status. And I have another 54 that need to have it done by the end of the year. So we've been emphasizing that on every flotilla meeting and also every division meeting call. And I think we're just going to have to get actively engaged and talk directly to those people to encourage them to get that training done. A lot of our flotilla commanders have emphasized the fact that right now it's fairly simple. You can look at it online, do a self-attestation, and you're done. And it's a good opportunity to get that taken care of. So we're going to be really emphasizing that. One other area we're lacking a little bit is keeping long-term members engaged. There is a little frustration about endless training, online stuff, and not actually been able to get involved in ops. A lot of our flotillas are heavily involved in PA and also on water ops, and it's been a little challenging to keep them engaged without the opportunities to get out. I know our SOPA, Don Miller, has done a very good job getting prepped for several events. Unfortunately, we're canceled, and hopefully we'll have some coming up that he's gotten ready for that we can get engaged with again. But overall, I think we've done a decent job considering the challenge of the pandemic. The big challenge we have coming up, of course, is getting flotilla staff officers and staff officers in place. We're sorely lacking that at the division level. And we also have some challenges in some of our flotillas as far as staff officers and basically succession planning goes. So we're going to be focusing on that. I'm stepping back to vice commander this next year, and I'll be working with Salvador to get those folks in place and really get a big push in on that to do the succession planning and train up people to take over down the road for FSO and SO positions. That's the end of my report.
All right, thank you, David. That brings us to Division 6, Mr. Palmer.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Division 6 has been busy. We have been concentrating on what we can do and forgetting about what we can't. I've been encouraging everyone to think out of the box on how they can do some things. I want to thank OTO Esselman for his comments on some of those questions. I admit it was me that was asking them, trying to think outside the box, and I don't mind getting my hand slapped it's easier to get a slap before than it is after. So I appreciate that quick response, sir. As far as comms goes, we have had some watch stands with Dana Point for the Tall Ships Festival. And we also covered 2 days of the Huntington Beach Air Show. We have done many recruit interviews, and I think there's 17 in all. And so far, every one of them have asked for the application. I have met personally with 5 of them, and recruiting seems to be going very well. And a lot of this is due to the fact that we were able to do those PA events. Others have been referred to by Leslie Pelosi, and all of them were good. So, you know, it wasn't that they were just interested. No, they want to join. And Leslie, I thank you for sending me to them. I really, really appreciate that. There's 5 of them I'm really excited about. So as far as our finances go, all of our 7035s are out at this time. We have 3 flotillas who are paid in full. So we're happy about that. We do have some members that, to use the word, we've weeded out. They were non-contributors, just hanging on. They were eligible to retire, and we kind of talked them into retirement rather than just staying on the rolls. So, you know, that helps out the flotilla and the quorums and all that stuff. Our member training has been outstanding. Everybody has just really picked up the pace on that. Our risk management and TCT looks very good. We're well over 90%. We have 2 members working on PWC training, and we're putting classes together for virtual VE and PV. I can honestly say that our member dealer visits were over 400 for the year. We've been really pushing that and going along and working with our dealers and getting a lot of leads from them. Mr. Sherman has been giving a lot of training courses on OxData 2 to many of our members, me included. I seem to be at war with that system, but we're coming to a peaceful agreement. I'm at least able to get onto it now and get a few things done. Our VEs are starting to slow down, yet we're still doing quite a bit. As normal at the end of the year, most people would rather just wait till the next year to do it. And I'm just thrilled to death to have had the opportunity to serve in Division 6 for 2 years. And I look forward to going up to being DDC of prevention. I look forward to working with the highly qualified individuals that have been assigned under me. And I'm looking for a great year in 2022. We have great people taking over in Division 6 with Mr. Forster and Mr. Lopez. And I will be right by their side for 2 more years. And that's all I got, sir.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate the report, and rest assured you two will be missed. That takes us to our 3rd division, number 11. Mr. Ziegler, the floor is yours.
We have been recently just doing some planning for next year. The new incoming commander and vice commander have already decided on most of their SO appointments, and they've also created some additional committees for next year. The biggest challenges we have this year, normally Division 11 was very heavily involved in operations, but as of right now, we have no active coxswains. The 2 that we have left are REYR, but they also have the only 2 facilities that we have as well. But we did, this year complete a boat crew academy. We still need to get those trainees on the water. And there's planning for an academy for next year as well. We did this year manage to get some new VEs and PVs qualified. And there have been a couple of VE and PE events that we've done, or not PE, PV events that we've done. Also, in one of those VE events, we ended up doing some marine safety pollution response when we were helping to clean up a small fuel spill that a boater had into Lake Paris. Other than that, so we've added quite a few new members this year, and our public affairs activity, especially through social media, has increased pretty significantly as well. And that's all I have to report.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Commodore, that's it for LALB South.
Thank you, Buzz. Next up is Decap San Diego Inman. Rod.
Thank you, Commodore. We're going to start with Division 1. We've got Gary Peterson, who's our division commander, and we have, as with the other areas, we have three new division commanders this year. And so our new division commander will be Robert Eastless, who's on with us. Our vice division commander is Jim Scofen. Worked with both of them, outstanding auxiliarists, and I'm very, very pleased that they're on with us today. With that, Mr. Peterson, who is had the benefit of retiring this year, has been traveling extensively, but he is with us. And Mr. Peterson, I turn it over to you for your report, sir.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Commodore. And I do apologize for not packing my my uniform when I was heading out of town last week. So, but anyway, it's also been a pleasure serving this last year, and I'm just going to take a year's vacation from everything I do, but I'm still going to remain very active, and I'm quite certain that the division under Robert and James are going to be just terrific. So anyway, kind of our summary of activities, successes, and challenges. Our goal is still, the intended leadership is to maintain the encouragement with all of our members throughout the division, especially after a year and 3 months of this pandemic. We are looking forward to, as other divisions, back forward to operating levels and continue to train and prepare when we can in person and re-engage fully the public. We welcome we're continuing to train in an interim and to see more new members and members participate on online offerings. And to me, I think it's one of the best things we've been able to do throughout this pandemic. Kind of our ups are, while we're still working with restrictions to the pandemic, all our flotillas are meeting regularly via Zoom or GoToMeeting. Each is continuing to pass down information and, keep our members engaged. We do an awful lot of augmenting here in San Diego, and we've continued to do so, including now gate guards for Sector San Diego. We've got, the job training is pretty well underway. We're waiting for a PQS for November. We're also involved with warehouse support, which is pretty amazing. And we've also got a few members are augmenting on the cutters as well as getting underway at various times. So that's exciting. We've got a new area sector coordinator, Marlene Williams, who has just done an incredible job in terms of keeping us abreast and making certain that all of our members are informed of what's going on in Sector San Diego. Training continues to be the focus, and we will have a new TCO course starting November 17th, which is exciting. We've been authorized also by sector to put on a Thanksgiving dinner again for the active duty this year, and it's something we all enjoy, serving their members and their families. The downs seem to be still Oxdata 2 entries, continue to be an issue with most members. Having direction to force members to go online to compete entries has had a negative effect. It really has. We've worked with the members to submit their hours. We think we're doing a really good job of that. again, one of the things that the challenge is lack of physical meetings, which caused some issues of low morale, but we're encouraging our leaders within the flotillas to help in that area. So again, I think that's kind of my end of my report. And again, it's been a pleasure serving for this last year, and look forward to continuing to be involved in the future.
Gary, thank you very much, and thank you for your service, sir. And I hope you have a fantastic retirement, well deserved. Moving on to Division 9, Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker just missed roll call, but he got in there just after roll call. Dave, thank you for joining us. We did have division elections for 9. We had as elected for division commander was Mr. Heinz Ladowski, and vice commander was Willem Lupatty. Unfortunately, right after elections, Mr. Ladowski sadly lost his wife and is having to step down. And on behalf of the entire division, our sincerest condolences to Mr. Ladowski. He's graciously agreed, and he's going to continue to try to serve in a different leadership role during this time. He will certainly be missed at the division leadership, but certainly understandable. So we'll have a new election, but currently Mr. Walker remains, of course, our division commander, and I turn this over to Mr. Walker for his report.
Thank you, Captain. As far as the summary, we've had a very busy month considering the COVID. We did get to meet with Captain Borelli at Vegas as a meet and greet situation, and he was very, very excited to be working with us. And also a few days later, we met with him at the Havasu City, and it was very productive. They're looking forward to working with us more often. I've got contacts with Lieutenant Commander John Satorum, who is of San Diego sector. And he's requesting us to do missions, non-water mission, but shoreside and boat ramps and such, and doing comms messages out to the boaters at these events. So that's been very busy. And of course, we've had 2 parades that we weren't allowed to. We were authorized to do them. However, on this, the day that last Saturday, the 6th, we had a parade. However, we had to cancel our entrance into that because of Heinz Ladowski's wife's death at that very morning. So that was half of our team, and he's the one with the truck. Also, we had scheduled one for Kingman Parade, Veterans Parade, for today, but of course the district meeting superseded that. But we are still staying active. We're doing these events as best we can. We've continued our recruiting efforts via Zoom and a free conference call. Some have been pretty successful. Division and flotillas showed an increase in VEs and PVs during August, September, and October. October, they kind of slowed down a little bit because, people aren't wanting us to do them now because it's only a couple months left in the year and they'd have to get it done all over again. So we've done probably 300 and some VEs for the division. And that's mostly just 3 people doing them. That would be Heisledowski's done over 160 some. And I think I've done 65, and another guy in division, in our division, Flotilla 6 has 61, I think it was. So we're staying. We were staying active for our with our VEs and PVs. PVs we had about 60 altogether, I think. Again, we're recruiting we're continuing our recruiting, and we're trying to train those we do recruit. We're pushing the core training, getting these people up to speed so they can get to the BQ status, so we can start using them in other areas. Getting those people out of REYR. We've been pretty successful there. We got most of them out now, I think. Those that want to get out, those that don't, we're going to have to submit paperwork to get removed from their position. We've got some out of state. For example, they're our only coxswain is out of state in Colorado, so that doesn't work out too well, and we don't have a vessel. So that's pretty much it for this year. I mean, for this period. But we are, again, our main goal is promoting boating safety, especially at Lake Mojave, Lake Havasu, and all along the river here. We've been really working hard to do that. That's what Lieutenant Commander Santorum has requested us to be doing with, at these boating events that they have to be at. So that's it for Division 9, other than Mr. Ladowski's wife died on the 6th. And Mr. Lupati was going to be here today, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if he had a communication problem or what. In fact, I was late. I was 14 minutes late, I think it was. But I apologize for that. And I have enjoyed my time to a point. And I hope that everything continues to progress in the district and in the divisions. We, like Rod said, we have elections coming up. We've got one for division, and then we have to have a re-election for flotilla. So that they are both happening. The division will be on the 11th, I believe it is. And the flotilla will be yet to be determined, I think.
Well, David, we'll figure all that out. I thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you for your report, sir. And we're going to need your continued leadership. There's no short-time disease here for you. We're going to need your leadership to get through the elections here for both flotilla and for division. And thank you for your continued interest and leadership. I really appreciate everything you've done. Going to Division 10, and this is a nice segue because both Division 9 and Division 10 have responsibilities for inland lakes and rivers, which is this particular emphasis of the Gold side, as always, but particularly this coming year because of the concerns of accidents. And I know that the OTO could certainly speak to that in droves. But with that, I'm going to go to Division 10. We've got Matt Smith, who is terming out as a second term. Matt, thank you so much for everything you do. And I'm honored to have both the division commander, the incoming division commander, and vice commander here with us. We've got Ben Palmer and Jack Pauley. And gentlemen, I love your energy, and I'm looking forward to a great 2022 with both of you. Before I turn it over to Matt, I'd just like to very briefly spotlight particularly one flotilla, and that is Division 10-2. I was at their meeting last night, and they've had particular challenges, and they do just an incredible job. They've got Lake Powell with members traveling up to 10 hours round trip with a boat behind them to service Lake Powell. And then in addition to Lake Powell, they go up more than 125 miles upriver to look to the aids of navigation. I mean, just incredible what they do. And there's a select few that do it. And of course, they're very concerned about some of the RAYR issues, particularly with respect to aids of navigation, because most of their aids of navigation are at Lake Powell. And I'm thrilled that this is at least an issue that is certainly in the forefront for the OTO and for Commander Keenan. And I understand we will be directed, and we look forward to that. So thank you very much for the attention to that. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Smith for his final report. Mr. Smith.
Thanks, Rod. Very quickly, I just want to say that what Division 10 excelled in greatest in the last year has been public affairs, and that would include our band. And it just so happens that the incoming division commander and incoming division vice commander play instrumental roles in the band and public affairs. So I think that we can look forward to really a gangbuster year in 2022 with their leadership. With that, I'd actually like to introduce Ben Palmer, the division commander-elect. And Ben, if you would like to say a couple words.
Sure, Matt. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm having a little bit of issues here with my internet, so I may lose some folks here. But yeah, we're looking forward to next year. We're working on some training issues. Obviously, Matt's mentioned the PA. It's been a big focus. It's kept us, not to use, no pun intended, but it's kept us afloat this past year in terms of some of the things we've been doing. But we'd like to ramp up our operations, definitely with the lakes that we have here in Arizona. We have a number of folks out there that are not part of the boating culture, but purchase vessels, and they go out there. So we really want to have that opportunity to go out there, not only making sure they're doing the safe things on the water, but also improve our public education efforts as well. So it's going to be a big year for us next year, stepping back in, and got some big shoes to fill for Division 10. So looking forward to it, and looking forward to having Matt as our new Vice Commander Jack Pauley, who's done an outstanding job as our public affairs officer. So with that, I'll turn that back over to you, Matt.
Okay, thanks, Ben. And once again, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for making the best out of the past couple of years. And I think we can look forward to even better years in the future. And with that, Rod, I will wrap myself up and just say goodbye, and I hope to see you all at D-Train.
Well, it's not goodbye, Matt. It's just to be a different position at another point. So thank you so very much for everything you've done for this district and your division. And with that, Commodore, I turn it back to you, sir.
Thank you, Rod. Does anyone need a 5
I'm sorry to interrupt, Commodore. Would we be able to take a 5-minute break, please?
That's what I was going to say when you interrupted me. Yes.
I'm sorry.
See you in 5.
All right. Thank you.
Are you getting a 5 minute break? Welcome back, everyone. Looks like everyone is here. Actually, it looks like we might have lost one. I think we had 43. Now we got 42. So Norm, find out who left. That'll be $5 for the morale jar. Do we have a morale jar? I think Rick is holding the morale jar. You get $5 more from somebody, Rick.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Next up is finance. You should all have had a chance to review the balance sheet and the P&L statement. So with that, I will turn it over to Virgil.
Good afternoon. I want to apologize not for having a picture up there, but yesterday I had 5 precancers removed from my face, and one of our dachshunds had 5 teeth, and neither one of us want to be seen right now.
Wow.
Any questions on the finance report?
Anyone? Nobody wants to question you, Virgil, ever.
I appreciate working with everybody, and I'm very happy to be working with my very competent replacement next year. So hopefully I'll still be able to see everyone once in a while. That's all I have, Commodore.
So Virgil, after several years and on the second run at finance office, has done such a fantastic job that we all appreciate. Karen Chapman from Division 10 will take over the duties of finance officer, and Virgil will be mentoring her closely for the next several months. Karen's got a very strong background. Karen, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Those will be hard shoes to fill, but I'll do my best. And as you mentioned, Charlie, I do have a strong background in accounting. So I feel comfortable with the position. I've talked to Virgil. He uses QuickBooks. I'm very familiar with that platform. I use it for my own business. And my husband and I will be traveling to Denver in December to meet up with Virgil, to get a lot of training from him and to acquire records. And talk to you guys in January. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Next up, Patrick, Secretary Records.
Couldn't find the unmute button. Good afternoon, everybody. I submitted the meeting meeting minutes from the September 11th meeting that was held virtually. Are there any questions or corrections? I'd like to ask somebody to motion for approval of those minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, that was Commodore Harshfield and Mike Fiumengo.
Correct. Is there any discussion on it, on the minutes? If not, Commodore, could we have a vote on the minutes, please?
Sure. All in support of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any not approving, say nay. Hearing none, that's unanimous.
Thank you, Commodore.
Okay, anything further, Patrick?
Nothing at this time, sir.
All right, thank you for your report.
All righty, sir.
Moving on to sector reports, sector LA Long Beach, John Ross.
Thank you, Commodore, and good afternoon, folks. First, I wanted to say thanks to Captain Orr for showing up today. I know she's extremely busy all the time, as you can guess. Also, Lieutenant J.G. Cunningham is our auxiliary liaison officer. Unfortunately, he had to leave. but I wanted to give him a shout out. He has been very helpful to me and to all of you to help get information back and forth with what's going on in the sector. So my report is mostly about activity that we've had, and my activity has been with the interactions with all the departments at the sector. We coordinate with sector personnel for a lot of different activities, such as the Drift Kayak Paddleboard Program, Burial at Sea Request, Pacific Air Show, UPVs, life rafts, oil spills, moving offices, the Coast Guard Base LALB, and fun thing like COPA, that's the Chief Petty Officers Association, with the toy drive and the holiday activities. There have been a lot of challenges trying to arrange for auxiliaries to work out of and in the sector, and we are working with the sector departments to resolve these issues. Despite these challenges, the future is looking really good for next year, for 2022, as we work to get out of the current COVID restrictions, hopefully put phase 3 behind us sometime in next year. And we'll be able to get our members back on the base and in the sector, and working directly with several of the folks there. The requirements to come back to the sector partly deal with having an ALAC card, which gives us access to the computer systems on or in the sector. We've had difficulties with that, but we're working through that. I'd like to give you, instead of 3 up, 3 downs, which are in my report, I'd like to do a little review of what all of those involve. And some of these will just be highlights of our activity. With the response department, the Drift Kayak and Paddleboard program was implemented in the northern half of the sector AOR and has had very positive results. Coordination was initiated prior to the summer between the sector station manager, the Oxlow, myself, to provide the stickers and hand out materials to the division up there and to get those posters and the stickers out to the boating public. The program has been initiated in the southern half of the sector AOR, and stickers are being provided by vessel examiners and PVs. Currently working with the enforcement division now to develop posters that the Coast Guard will provide that can be delivered to local marinas and harbors in the LA and Orange County areas. We'll be working with the new DSO PV for the first of the year and directly with the enforcement division to identify locations that can be used to distribute the stickers. Commodore has let me know that D11 has indicated there is a very high level of interest in this program, so we're going to get it going really well the first of the year. Another activity that we involved with was the Pacific Air Show. We coordinated with the response department to provide surface facilities to support the air show, along with communication members to support Auxiliary Radio Newport. In addition, we also provided a great public affairs booth for the air show, even though it was cut short by a day, but that was a very successful activity. Reference the oil spill, which closed out the air show on Sunday. And the first few days after that, I worked with the Oxlow, and we came up with some activities that for the sector that the auxiliary might be able to provide. The only issue that came out of that was an issue concerning auxiliary interpreters. With the help of DIROCS, it was determined that one person that was questioned as an interpreter really came from D11 North, not D11 South. However, we did find out that one of our interpreters is going to be used with the sector in the next few weeks. In addition, our new ADSO OP interpreter has advised that he's now tracking the interpreter activity for our district, and I'll be coordinating with him and the sector for any additional requirements that they may need. Been coordinating with the enforcement division concerning our OpFacs up in Channel Island and when they can get back into service. And for Division 7, that's really an interesting point. They're really looking forward to it. And I guess we're going to have a little bit of delay now with the budget issue, but certainly by the first of the year, we should be able to get those folks back going. In the logistics department, we coordinated with the administration division to move the auxiliary support office across the hall to accommodate the need of adding admin personnel to support the offshore patrol cutters, which will be coming in the next couple of years. The support personnel will be working within the sector spaces until the new building is completed for the OPCs. The move has been a struggle over the last few weeks, but we are making some headway to resolve all those issues. In the prevention department, we've coordinated with the inspections division for getting the life raft inspections active again. Our auxiliary life raft coordinator provided training for active duty folks and then got hands-on experience for them under his direction. The plan, of course, is to get more auxiliarists in the program within the next few months. UPV inspection activity is up and the reports are being processed by the OXLO until we can establish a functional workstation and an auxiliarist who has a working ALAC access card. One auxiliarist is still providing weekly support for the commercial fishing vessel office, and we are discussing the possibilities of starting up Mda Patrols again. Hopefully information will come out by the first of the year. We've coordinated some activity with base LALB with the Chief Petty Officers Association, as I mentioned earlier, getting the Toys for Us programs. The DIROC's admin office and the YN2 will take care of tracking the toys and arrange for pickup with the CPOA. You all should have received information already about that activity from the OTO. We also coordinated with CPOA to have a Division 6 member and his wife to provide Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus for the active duty Christmas toy delivery and holiday celebration. That Santa has been missing for the last 3 years, and we're really happy that he's back and ready to help bring joy to the kids. We started this just recently, a coordination for burial at sea, which we haven't done since prior to the COVID. And with the announcement today, unfortunately, this one may have to get delayed until after the first of the year, but we are working with both base LALB and the sector burial at sea coordinators in order to set that up for the auxiliary to do. Some of the auxiliary unit coordinator activity that's been going on, one coordinator coordinated 2 boat training with the Coast Guard cutter Norwal prior to the current surface operation shutdown. Another auxiliary unit coordinator arranged for a picnic for the Coast Guard cutter Red Now crew that was provided by a local unit of the Daughters of the American Revolution and several auxiliary members from Flotilla 66. Other AUCs are working with the small boat stations, all 3 of them, to coordinate additional activities. In closure, on this part, the Captain Orr had said earlier that she welcomes input and questions, and she's serious about that. She and I talk on a regular basis about things that are going on. So feel free to contact me if you have ideas, questions, or information, and I will be able to provide those to her. And she will respond to them. She's very good about that. That takes care of the ASC report. I would like to take a second to talk about the Dso Emergency Management. We completed training on 18 September for the Incident Management Software System, IMSS. The program is a baseline for possible support to incidents in the local area. 9 auxiliary members completed the training. Unfortunately, the first large incident, the oil spill, that it occurred, did not use the IMSS system at all. That activity was provided by another agency and a private contractor. So we did the training, but we weren't able to get out there and do anything about it. I do attend the monthly Dso Emergency Management virtual meetings. And some of you may know there was a national database program that started rolling out. It's still coming out, but it's slow. And the pace of activity with that is very slow. We hope to get some improvement to that after the first of the year. So that's my report for today. Are there any questions? Back to you, Commodore.
Thank you, John. It's good to see that all the unit coordinators are staying engaged. With that, we'll move on to sector coordinator from San Diego, Marlene. Marlene, are you here?
Commodore may be driving.
Yeah, she's muted. I see that.
Yeah, she was driving down from LALB.
Okay, all right. Maybe we should get back on before we finish. So let's move on to committee reports. First one up is D-Train, and I don't think Commodore Blanchett is on. Are you here with us, Bert? I know Commodore Blanchett's been dealing with some back issues, and that may be the reason he's not with us. So we'll pass on that for this meeting. Move on to the Budget Committee. Anything to share, Rod?
Only this, Commodore. We've got a proposed budget that we submitted. Actually, I think we submitted first time in July, inviting comments. We invited comments again at the last meeting. I've uploaded it. It's the same upload, sir. There's no difference. From my perspective, if the Commodore would allow, and by the way, we've invited comments, received none. Virgil has prepared it. As we indicated last time, sir, I won't call it a guess, of course, but some of it is an educated guess just because we've had such a strange year for 2021 and I'm sorry, 2021 and 2020. We're under budget in a lot of areas, but it is our best estimate of a good budget. The one concern was initially memorial markers, but I know that after speaking with Mr. Bundick, there's no great change there for the reasons that Mr. Bundick relayed. So, sir, with that, I would submit the budget for approval.
Thank you, Rod. So let's discuss that a little further offline.
Yes, sir, that'd be fine.
All right. Mike Fiamingo, anything on the audit committee?
From the audit committee, just the fact that we filed our report 10 September 2021, and we audited fiscal years 2019 and 2020. The result of the audit is that everything was in good order and accurate, and that there were no audit exceptions.
Thank you. Boz, can you give us an update on awards?
Certainly, Commodore. I reported last time that our awards for 2020 were completed and those have been distributed. Really, this report is to give you a heads up for us to begin the 2021 award cycle in preparation for D-Train. There's a couple dates that I'd like the division commanders to help pass down and reinforce. And both of these have been passed down already via an email from me and again through the OTO through his activity list. But as you know, our folks need these reminders, so please take this as a takeaway. November 21st, a week away, is the deadline for personal awards. So if there's anybody out there that you'd like to recommend, or any member wants to recommend for another member for a personal award, that application recommendation needs to be completed and submitted to Alan Carver no later than 21st of November. And then the second date is the 21st of December. And that's the deadline for getting all of our time reports in for the year. That's important because Mr. Steve Sherman will be running reports on 12/31 at midnight to capture all those hours for the year, so that can be brought into the fold for the awards committee for review. And that drives about, I'll say, at least half or more of our awards as well, just based on activity level. So 21 November for personal awards, 21 December for time reports. Thank you very much. Back to you, Commodore.
Thank you. Memorial marker, Norm.
Yeah, an update on that. We have 50 members who have crossed the bar in 19, 20, and up to about May of this year. We have the template all done. They're ready to be engraved. We're just trying to get the base time coordination along with some volunteers to be at the base while the engravers are there. One of the things that Rod talked about was on the budget. A reminder that the names of the members from the flotillas, they will be responsible for a partial payment for the cost. Under the new program with the new engravers, we are being charged $150 per name. Now, $100 of that is being covered by the division, or district rather, excuse me. The individual flotilla will be billed by Mr. Campbell for the $50 remaining charge. And we should have those names, I'm hoping by the end of the month, get the engraving done. Now, up to right now, there's 4 more names that have been submitted to me. And by the way, any 7035s regarding a deceased member, in addition to sending it to the shared mailbox and Dirox, please send a copy to me because I'm keeping the member names for the next engraving. Now, names that did not get on this time, hopefully we will have another engraving in February. So any members that didn't get on this one, hopefully will be on the next engraving. If there's no questions, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Norm. With that, do we have any old business? I'm not aware of any. Anybody aware of old business?
I do not have any old business logged.
Commodore?
Yes.
Did you want to make a mention on the rooms for the hotel for board staff?
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and do that, Norm?
Okay. Right now, you received a link to the hotel for getting reservations. Right now, we have 62 rooms taken. I should say, of people coming in for 2 nights right now. Now, we only have 150 rooms booked. So people that are under orders, in other words, you're going to be putting in orders to have your stay paid for if you are over 50 miles from the hotel in Ventura, which is the Ventura Crown Plaza Hotel. If you're going to be here and you need a room for the meeting, if you're on the board and staff, again, you will be covered by expenses for that. You need to make your reservation because right now people are finding out about it that are not on the board, and individual members are making reservations. You can find the reservation link if you can't find my email at the d11s.org website. And there's a scroller going across the middle of the page. It says D-Train. You can click on that and that'll take you to the reservation page. Any questions?
So this hotel in Ventura, it's a wonderful venue. It's right on the beach. It's the only one that is on the beach. Is not as big a hotel as the Crown Royal in San Pedro, for example. They don't have as many rooms. Additionally, we became aware of another large group that is going to be staying there in the same weekend. So it's not a guarantee that there'll be a room available if you wait too long. So I would, you can always cancel the hotel reservation. So I would suggest that you all jump in there and get your room reservation now. If something happens and we can't have D-Train, or if you can't attend, you can always cancel your reservation. So you ought to get on that right away. Any questions? Changes of watch. At this point, I believe we've approved 6 changes of watch. Division 1 on February 26th, Division 4, March 12th, Division 5, March 5th, Division 6, February 5th, and Division 7, February 20th. Is there any other divisions that's planning a change of watch that I didn't mention? All right, if any other division decides they want to have a change of watch, submit the request for the day, and we'll treat it as first come, first served. And I assume, since I didn't hear anything, that all the dates I announced already are correct. With that, any closing comments from anybody on the board?
Yes, Commodore, if I might.
Go ahead, Rick.
This is just a reminder to all of the 2022 division commanders and vice division commanders of our DILA tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Looking forward to seeing you all there, and I believe we're going to have a pretty good presentation for you all. So look forward to tomorrow night. Thank you, Commodore.
Thank you, Rick. Anything else? With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Commodore, I may be going backwards a little bit. I was trying to type it in the comments real quick. For D-Train, is that going to be a concern with the 50-person limitation?
Commander could probably answer that better than I.
I answered that in my comments and said that no, BSX has been routing stuff that we should be able to have it.
Copy. Thank you. I apologize.
Any other discussion? All right, did I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion, Commodore.
Michael Bozart.
I second.
Michael Bozart and a second from Commodore Harshfield. With that, the meeting is adjourned. Hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow evening.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, drive safely.
Commodore Geiger, are you still on board?
I'm still here.
I've been trying to figure out, is there an N train for January?
We are hoping there is one. We're planning for one. Just never know where this COVID could end up. At this point, we're planning on a full-blown N train, and the National Commodore promises it'll be the best one ever. So I would plan on that, but we'll see what happens.
Can't find anything about dates. I assume it'll be St. Louis, but January, do you know the dates?